Welcome to Behind the Brand, stories and strategies for building your creative business. This is brought to you by the Pinegateroad Studio. You are listening to episode 39. Welcome to Behind the Brand, stories and strategies for building your creative business. Here we take a deep dive into the brands of heart-centered businesses and entrepreneurs and unveil behind the scenes into how they're building their brands, as well as tips and tricks to how you can build your own dream business. I'm your host, Kelsey Kerslake, and I'm the founder of Pinegateroad, a branding studio for businesses and entrepreneurs ready to get their brands completely figured out. From finding your core values, making that beautiful brand identity that speaks to your ideal audience, to figuring out how to style and strategize your social media platforms and launch your new website, we're here to guide you each step along the way to build your dream business. Head to pinegateroad.com to get in touch today about working together. Hello, you guys. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Behind the Brand. I am so happy to have you here today, as always. So today we have a little bit different kind of a show. We actually have Amy Kuretsky coming on the show, and she is an acupuncturist and health coach for creatives based in Minneapolis. I am so excited to do this episode that deep dives into the importance of your healthcare. And Amy will be sharing a lot more about that, like why it's important to take care of yourself. I mean, of course it's important to take care of yourself, but she really has a unique perspective coming from having Chron's disease and also just changing her life with her nutrition, her lifestyle, and just everything. It's a really cool story to hear if you haven't heard it all. We're not doing everything here. But she has a lot of resources on her website if you follow her on social media, and she's kind of a podcast queen. So she shares a lot in different podcasts across, I guess, the podcast universe. I don't even know what to call that. So anyway, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoy this episode with Amy. This week's Branding Bite has been brought to you by Build a Booming Brand. Build a Booming Brand is a course that helps you set your entire brand's foundation so that you can sell with confidence and build up to running your dream business and life. We make sure that you're building your business around your life and not the other way around. If you want to get clarity around your next steps, make decisions knowing they're the right next ones for you, or get to know your target customer and get them into your inner circle, then Build a Booming Brand was made just for you. Head to pinegateroad.com/education to learn more and sign up today. In today's Branding Bite, I want to talk to you about your health. We have Amy coming on the show today, and the reason I thought it was so important to have a show like today is because your health is everything. If you've been listening for a while, you'll know that I was struggling through my endometriosis diagnosis last year. Recently, I was also diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, which is the thyroid disorder and an autoimmune disorder. As a business owner, I know it's so tempting to put your customer first and to keep hustling towards building things up in your business. And I'm really here today to tell you that if you don't make your health a priority, then you truly have nothing. When I was doing endometriosis, or not doing endometriosis, having all of the symptoms, I was stuck in bed for weeks at a time. Going through Hashimoto's right now, I have been experiencing extreme fatigue and exhaustion, and I've been completely able to transform both of these things through health interventions and trying to eat the right way and doing things to take care of my body. So what I want you to do is to take some time this week to figure out how to add some healthcare into your life. Maybe that's as simple as a 15-minute walk every morning or trying to eliminate refined sugars in your diet. Test things out and figure out what makes you feel your brightest. While this show is very much about running your business, taking time to take care of your health is the true foundation to running a thriving business. So let's do this. Again, this week's Branding Bite has been brought to you by Build a Booming Brand. Head to pinegateroad.com/education to learn more about how you can build your brand's business foundation, and you can sign up today. Hi, Amy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on, Kelsey.
Of course. I'm so excited to talk to you today. I have been in a big health I'm finally taking the time to take care of my body right now. And so I'm just so into doing healthy things. And I can't wait to I hate the word pick your brain, but I really want to pick your brain about all health things. So I'm excited.
I feel like everyone wants to pick my brain. So here it is on display for everyone.
Awesome. Are you over people picking your brain, or you're for it?
I feel like, as long as people want to pick my brain, it means that I'm still an expert in my field and people want to learn what I have to offer. So I'm all for it.
Yes. Awesome. So I'd love for you to start off by introducing yourself, doing a kind of short, just little story of how you got to where you are today. It doesn't have to be that in depth. And then going into where your brand is now and kind of your big why.
Yeah, totally. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Amy Kuretsky. I am an acupuncturist, a health coach, a licensed herbalist. I am a jack of all trades when it comes to health, specifically natural health. And I practice in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's where my acupuncture practice is. But I do work with coaching clients all over the place, all over the globe, actually. And I kind of got to where I am today through a roundabout means. I started out in the art world, which is why I so dearly connect with creatives, because I've kind of been in a creative industry all of my life, even though now I'm in the healthcare world. And I worked at art museums and whatnot growing up. And when I was 21 years old, I got really, really sick, really sick, go to the Mayo Clinic sort of sick.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, it was not fun. It was not a highlight of my life, but I do firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. And even though I was upset about it at the time, it obviously brought me to where I am today. So basically, I got sick. I ended up being diagnosed with Chron's disease, which is an autoimmune disease, specifically affecting the digestive tract. And I started on my, I hate this term. I really, really hate this term, but I started on my healthcare journey that everyone talks about.
I'm on mine, so.
I know, right? I can't think of a better term for that, but it really is the most say what you mean. I was on a journey.
Yep.
So yeah, I started down this road, and between finding the Western healthcare that really worked for me at the time, but also complementing it with Eastern healthcare and alternative medicine and complementary medicine, I was able to bring myself from a place of complete sickness. I was weighing less than 100 pounds. I was not absorbing nutrients. I was very, very sick. I was living with my parents. I couldn't support myself. To now, I'm 34 years old. I am the healthiest I have ever been in my entire life. I'm the strongest I have ever been. I'm the most vibrant and energetic I have ever been. And it was a long and winding road. And it didn't just include Western medicine, and it didn't just include acupuncture or alternative medicine. It was a really big mesh of the two, which kind of leads me to where I am today, which is really coming at a place with my coaching clients and with my acupuncture patients of there's no one right or wrong way to do things. Some people are going to take in a little bit of column A, some people are really going to take in a little bit of column B, and we need to find the magic recipe, the secret sauce that works for you.
Yeah.
And so my business now, through this long journey, basically, I ended up going to acupuncture school. I have a master's degree in Chinese medicine, in Chinese herbalism. I then went and did more schooling specifically around coaching, and I have a certificate in health coaching. I'm actually going through my International Federation certification right now for
awesome.
that, because they're starting to really, the word coach is thrown around so much right now, and it feels really good and, confidence building that I've gone through a program that has such high rigors, and that there are other people out there that are starting to really elevate this. They're really elevating this line of work and having some benchmarks that they want everyone to be able to reach in order to call themselves a health coach.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at today. I do acupuncture and health coaching, and I work with people to find their own secret sauce.
It's awesome that I love you saying that it's not there's not one way. It's kind of individualized for each person as well. So you can do it from all those different columns. And I don't think I've shared this live with the audience at all, but I recently was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So I have also been, I'm kind of at that bottom of everything where you might have been going through. Probably not as bad. I was not hospitalized, but I've been going through some kind of crazy health issues, and I'm 3 weeks into just kind of transforming my diet and things like that. So is not like 100% diagnosed through my doctor, but I have been working with a health coach to kind of figure this out, and somebody who specializes in autoimmune disorders. So she looked at all my test results and she's like, yep, I think like I can't diagnose you, but you pretty much have this. And I'm like, oh, great. So I have been struggling a lot the past couple weeks. And it sounds kind of dumb. Like, I don't know if you went through the same period of time when you were like on your health journey, where you like, it wasn't, mine haven't been crazy symptoms. I've mostly just been, like really tired. And my husband turns to me, he's like, oh, so you feel like everyone else? And I'm like, no, but it's different. And I'm working through this as a creative business owner, and it's been hard. I've had to put things on the back burner for a while now. And just this week, I'm finally starting to get my energy back. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And I've just been like, go, go, go. And I feel so great. And I can't believe that just food has been making this big of a difference in my life.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So many of the things you just said resonate with me. I mean, one, I love the fact that you are still making forward momentum, and even when other people around you are like, oh, you just have the same symptoms as everybody else or whatever, like really trusting that like your inside voice is saying like, nope, something's really wrong. You need to go get this checked out, because so many people out there are having, symptoms, and which are just messages from your body saying, help, SOS.
Yes.
And so many people like ignore them for one reason or another. So like one of the very first things I usually do with my coaching clients is like really help them tap into that intuitive, like trusting part of themselves. So that they can feel confident that like, no, I need to listen to this message, and I need to like get curious about it and seek out help where I can find it, because you have to be your own health advocate so often in our current healthcare society. Like that was the thing that I learned probably the most out of my entire situation. I learned that I had to stand up for myself when it came to my health, like, which is why I stood up to my doctors and told them that I wanted to get off the medication that I was on. It's why I went and did all the research and started learning about herbalism and started learning about acupuncture. It's why I went and got a master's degree in acupuncture. I found that I very much had to be my own advocate. And so now I really try helping other people, not only to be an advocate for them, but help them become their own advocates as well.
So what is the first process of that? Like, what would you say that feeling is? Say they might possibly think that something is going on, but they don't know where to start. What should they do?
A couple of things. So one, just tracking, just like how in business, we talk about that we need to track our finances, or we need to track our statistics, like our ConvertKit statistics and stuff like that, because you don't know the health of your business until you know your numbers. Well, the same is true for your body. You don't know the health of your body until you know like the numbers, quote unquote. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean going and getting blood work done. I mean, you can really just start with you tracking maybe how many headaches you're getting a week if you're dealing with migraines, or tracking your bowel movements if you're having digestive difficulty, or tracking your anxiety level on a severity of 0 to 10 on a day-to-day basis. And then not just tracking your symptoms, but kind of tracking what other things are going on in your life. Like maybe your anxiety was really high one day, but you also only slept 5 hours the night before. And to start really kind of seeing those correlations between things. It's not necessarily causation, it's just correlation, but it gives you more data, and data is something that then we can start to work with.
Yeah, I have had very bad anxiety a lot of my life. I haven't had an anxious moment in 2 weeks. And the only thing I've changed is my eating. And
okay,
I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, the gut is our second brain.
Yeah.
Like, they literally call it the second brain for a reason. And we create both serotonin and GABA, which are both neurotransmitters that help make our brains both happy and relaxed, and they're created in the gut. So when we are eating foods or when our gut isn't really a healthy environment, then we're not able to create the chemicals that our brain needs to feel relaxed and happy.
Yeah, it's like you can hear some of these things, but then actually understanding one, how it works, and then actually seeing it work in your own body is incredible. I'm having a really good day. So I'm just like, and I haven't felt this way in a really long time. So I'm just like, what is this life? And how have I been missing out on this for so long? And it's only been 3 weeks of healthy eating, and not even like quote unquote healthy.
Well, I'm curious to know what changes you made.
So right now I am on, I started going to the Cleveland Clinic's functional medicine department, and they put everybody on an elimination diet. So in their version of the elimination diet is very, like no added sugar, no, like all gluten-free, dairy-free, no soy, I can't think of what else. No corn.
Probably like corn. Yeah, like
no
all
corn.
The common allergens.
Yeah, so I'm not doing any of that. And then I've been working with my health coach on top of that to kind of learn how to formulate my meals. So on top of the elimination diet, she has me on a couple different supplements. And she also has me, I found out that I have like candida overgrowth as one of my test results that came back. So she has me on a very, very low sugar, like even the added sugar. I'm only having about a half a cup of berries a day as the sugar that I'm getting right now. So that is where I'm at. And I've had a couple crashes. So even within this, I had a couple, she's like, that's just all the toxins coming out. And now I'm finally feeling really good. And
yeah, candida die-off reactions can be really intense. Definitely.
It was really, really bad. And then I was talking to my friends and I'm like, yeah, I have this like stuff in my gut called candida and it's dying off. And that's why I feel terrible. And they're just like, what are you? Like, what is going on? It's just, it's been hard to balance, like, 1, the health, 2, running my business, and 3, the social aspects of trying to take care of your body in a society where this isn't normal yet.
So true. I mean, yeah, that social aspect is really, I find the hardest for some of my clients is that they'll do so well when the like foundation is there and like they're at their home and they're able to control the environment and all those things. But as soon as they like step out of this controlled environment and they're like out with friends and there's maybe alcohol involved and whatnot, it's it really, I mean, I kind of hate to say this, but it kind of shows you like who your true friends are, because your true friends are the ones that are really going to support you and be like, okay, well, let's go do something that doesn't involve alcohol tonight, or like, where do you want to go eat? Like, why don't we look at the menu ahead of time and find a place that you can go, versus the people that are like, oh, come on, you can just have one drink. Like,
oh yeah, I haven't run into that. I've run into maybe I'm a very, like, I'll try all these different things. So I think my friends are like, oh, Kelsey's just trying another, like, crazy little thing to make herself, like, her health better. So I think that's where I'm at. And they're definitely supportive. I think they're just like, how long will this one last? But I'm like, no, really, it's lasting. Like, this is my new life.
Well, and you have to also remember that, like, a lot of the changes that you're making now, like the elimination diet, isn't meant for you to eat this way forever. Right. It's meant for you to find out exactly what is bothering you so that you can just eliminate that one thing, or maybe like 2 things or whatever that are really causing some of your symptoms, to allow your gut to heal. Because once our guts heal, then we can actually sometimes even bring some of those things back into our diet. Because a lot of times what happens is that when our guts are not healthy, they're technically what we call leaky gut, or, there's gaps in the small junctions in the cell wall of your small intestine. And when that happens, then food particles can get through, which then your food particles aren't supposed to just naturally get into your bloodstream like that. So your body kind of has this like reaction to it, like an overly strong reaction. And so if you remove all of those things that you're having reactions to and your gut actually heals, then the lining is strong and you can generally incorporate some of those foods again.
Yes, I've been learning about that, which is awesome. And I did get another test result, and it literally, the only thing I wasn't allergic to out of 30 different items was chicken.
Yeah.
So, and it was like nice that like good things like lettuce and
Right.
all.
I'll
I
have
was like,
people
what?
being like,
What can I
yeah, I'll
eat?
have people come in being like, why am I allergic to strawberries? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you have strawberries in your backyard that you eat all the time or something? And they're like, oh yeah, I buy like a pint of strawberries every week. And it's like, okay, well, if you're eating a lot of strawberries and you have holes in your gut, then like that's what your body's going to react to
Right.
because that's what you're eating.
Yeah, so my health coach has been helping me just like heal the thing, like try to be on this diet because I'm literally allergic to all the things that are even on this diet, but like I wouldn't be able to eat if I followed this chart. So she's like, hopefully this will, not hopefully, she's like, she knows it will help heal the leaky gut over a couple months, and then after that I can take the test again, and hopefully some of those things will be healed, and I'll actually be able to legit eat them again, which is great.
Yeah. And
So
it's so like, I don't know, just as someone who I myself had to change my diet as part of my own healing journey, because one of the
yes.
things that like really triggers inflammation for me is gluten. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily someone that says like, oh, everyone needs to be off gluten. But I do think that people that have autoimmune disease tend to be more likely to have reactions to gluten. And I myself am not celiac. I've never been tested for celiac. I'm pretty sure I'm not celiac, but I do know that like when I eat gluten, I have a reaction, and like I don't need a doctor and a blood test to tell me that I have a reaction when I eat gluten because
Right.
I know my body has a reaction. And
Yes.
so it's like it can be as simple as just listening to your body.
So, what would some of these signs be if somebody is sitting here listening to this and they're like, I don't even know if I have these symptoms? What would some possible autoimmune symptoms be, or things that just aren't normal that maybe we think are normal that we are experiencing every day?
I would say the biggest one is digestion. I mean, this is where my specialty is in digestion. I'm not like
Okay.
an autoimmune specialist. Like in general, I very much specialize in Crohn's and colitis. So like
Okay.
inflammatory bowel disease and also irritable bowel, which is like a whole nother thing that I love talking about because the problem with irritable bowel is that there's no physical structure wrong in your body. Like it's not an autoimmune disease. You don't have anything physically wrong in the bowel, but yet you're still having like really severe and problematic and like embarrassing symptoms. And then you see the doctor and the doctor's like, well, it's not this and it's not this. So sorry, it's just in your head, you know? And then
Oh, yeah.
they just walk away feeling so distraught. And like, those are my favorite patients to work with because like acupuncture and like meditation and lifestyle changes work so well. But back to your original question, which was
Yeah.
more like autoimmune related, I would say things like digestion changes. So like I'm gonna start talking about poop here. So if anyone doesn't
That's
want to hear about poop, you can like pause or whatever. But I talk about this all the time.
yes, I've
Um,
gotten used to this.
okay, good. I would say like, you know, you need to have like 1 to 3 bowel movements a day that are soft formed and easily passed. Like that is what it should look like. There's the Bristol stool chart, and I can send you like a link that you can share in the show notes. But the Bristol
Okay.
stool chart is basically shows pictures, like drawings, so not actual pictures of like 6 different types of stool going from like type 1 to type 6 being like super loose and diarrhea, and type 1 being super constipation and like small pellets. But basically what you want is like somewhere, I think it's like number 3 is the ideal one, but it should be soft formed and easily passed. And so many of my patients, like that's the first thing that they notice. Like I'll ask them about their bowel movements and they're like, oh, I thought it was normal that I had like loose stool every morning. And it's like, not really. I mean, it's common, but common isn't the
Yeah.
same thing as normal.
Or good for
And
you.
right, exactly. Other really common things would be like headaches and migraines. Low energy is like a huge one. One thing that I see a lot in my office is brain fog, and
Yes.
also like skin reactions. So, skin, brain health, meaning brain fog or anxiety or depression, and gut, they're all 3 different pathways that we have reactions, like inflammatory reactions, like the most common ones. And so, gut health, skin health, like maybe acne when you're at an age where you shouldn't be getting acne anymore, or maybe like rashes, psoriasis, eczema, stuff like that, or anxiety, depression, excess headaches, and then energy. Those are like the main ones, I would say.
Awesome. So anybody experiencing that, reach out to Amy. She can help you. So I would love to hear more about just your business, like the business side of this. So how you
Yeah.
kind of grew your business from, I think you said you started as an acupuncturist when you kind of went on this journey again, possibly, but maybe just talk about that and how you kind of got to coaching today and how that's working out for your lifestyle and how you want to live.
Yeah. So I would say that it's a constant work in progress, like in the sense that I I've found what works for me is to stick with my expertise in digestion, in like intuition building and lifestyle altogether. But then that's kind of spreading out in many different facets in the ways that I work with people. And the common thread, like I said, is all the digestion, the meditation, the building your intuition, the really like working from that inner knowing of what's best for your body. So I started my business almost 5 years ago now, as an acupuncturist. And, when you go to school for acupuncture, there's really not a whole lot of acupuncture jobs out there. Like they're pretty few and far between. And so most people in school like have to become their own business owner, which is really
Mm.
interesting because they don't teach that very well in acupuncture school. Like you learn a whole lot about the body and a whole lot about Chinese medicine, but you don't learn exactly how to run a business. And so I kind of got thrown into the wolves, in the sense of like, all right, I graduated and now I don't have like a full-time job that I'm, like side hustling from. And B, I need to make money like now, and so you
Yeah.
like throw out your shingle and you start treating people. And I was very well connected in my community here. I had a lot of people that had been hearing me talk about acupuncture school for like 3 years because our
Uh-huh.
master's degree schooling is 3 years long. Like it's a really intensive program.
Yeah.
And so people knew that I was doing this. So right away out of the gate, I had a decent amount of clients. But soon after, I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing when it came to business. And so I really had to kind of learn myself. And that's where I started following, business coaches online and finding like the Being Boss community and stuff like that. And really diving into all the things that those people were teaching to learn how to actually run a successful business. And that was
Awesome.
so helpful. Like, I think that I would not be where I am today without all of that education, that like self-taught education.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but then I started incorporating the coaching aspect about a year ago, and I did that for two reasons. One, I really found that in my acupuncture practice, the patients where I was just kind of saying like, okay, this is your treatment plan. You're going to come in this many times. You're going to take these herbs and like, this is what I want you to do for like lifestyle modifications at home, and kind of gave it to them as a prescription. Those
Mm-hmm.
people were having less success than the people who I was coaching, even though I hadn't had actual training in coaching at that point. But the people that were much more engaged and I was really helping them lead their own treatment plan, like I would come at a place from the expertise of like, this is how many appointments you need. These are the herbs that you have to take. But when it came to lifestyle changes, like I was collaborating with them more than prescribing to them. Those
Oh,
people were way more invested in their own health, and they felt like they could actually do it. They had stronger motivation, they had stronger confidence than me just saying, you need to meditate 10 minutes a day. Like that's not necessarily going to work for everybody, versus someone that's like, okay, well, I don't like sitting in meditation, but I love going to yoga class. So maybe I'll go to yoga class 4 days a week or something. Those people were having so much more success because they were involved in the process of creating their own treatment plan. And that was like a light bulb for me, being just like, you can't just come at a place from expertise. So, whereas I think it's good to have a business coach that just tells you like, maybe you need to do step A, then step B, then step C, or like, this is the platform that you should use for this webinar, or things like that. Like that can be helpful when you have a person of expertise. But when you're
Mm-hmm.
really trying to like have this wholehearted, intuitive, like long lasting change, then you need to be at the center of that. And that's where coaching really comes in. So that's kind of the impetus for me to go and get my coaching degree, because I really wanted to have stronger skills at empowering people to make these life changes.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So
And
like my style, so my style of health coaching is very different from others people's. Like I don't come at it with a prescription. I don't come at it with a diet plan. I don't come at it with, you know, diagnosing or treating or anything. I really come at it with a plan of like, okay, you have your medical professional that you're working with on your
mm-hmm.
treatment plan. Let me help support you in finding long lasting, like really like life changing, long lasting ways to implement these things so that you feel confident that you can make this a forever change.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. And just thinking to my own business, I have recently kind of transformed the offerings that I have to kind of this long-term, more engaged project where I'm working with people completely to transform their brand and their business. And it has been incredible to just see how much further those clients are getting than when I'm just working on the website or just working on the logo or things like that, when people just need those one-off projects. Because it is kind of that like, okay, I've done this, I know how to do it, I'm prescribing you a logo or things like that. But now with this like holistic 6 months of experience of transforming your brand and business, while also building all those things out, it is cool to see how much a part those people have as a part of that whole process, and how we can make
Totally.
tweaks in that 6 months because they're like, oh, this wasn't working, let's try this. Or, you get that feedback. So as I was listening to you say all that, it was really cool to hear just how it could translate to other businesses as well. Like if you're in that prescribing place, to get to that more holistic understanding place in what you're creating.
Which is kind of why I feel like coach training and actually learning how to coach from a real like collaborative standpoint can be helpful in anyone's business.
Right.
Because I feel like there are too many coaches out there just saying like, oh, I have the formula that's right for everyone.
Right.
And it's like, well, there is no one right formula for everyone. So I'm calling your bullshit on this.
Right. And yeah, and at some points I'm like, I'm a brand designer, but I'm coaching people weirdly through our calls, and we're talking about mindset and all of that kind of stuff just from my experience, but I don't have formal training in that. I have what I've learned doing my own business and growing other people's, but it's just, yeah, maybe I need some coaching training now.
I'll send you some books that are like really good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I was like, I'm not really coaching, but it is, it's built into the system just because I'm there to support you so much in how you're growing out that experience. So totally. Yeah, I love making that correlation and hearing your side of that too. So cool. So, thanks. Is there anything that you would like to share in particular that like relates to your expertise that might help out creative entrepreneurs?
Ooh, yeah. So I talk a lot about self-care in my business. Like my whole business model is really, well, I don't know if it would be the business model, but like my whole like anchoring of everything that I'm doing in my coaching business is really helping people understand that like they are their business's most important employee, and they need to treat themselves as such. And that, self-care is so important. And oftentimes people think of self-care as like, oh, I need to like decompress and take a bath. Like for some reason,
Yeah.
baths and like pedicures are the things that come up all the time when people are like thinking about self-care. And what I really want people to do is like dive way deeper than that and think like, okay, a bath is nice and like going and getting a pedicure is nice, but like what really feeds your soul? Like what really recharges your batteries? And also like what's depleting your batteries, and like how can we really balance this out a little bit more and remove some of the things off of your plate that are draining you and really add some more things onto your plate that are going to give you more energy so that overall you can be more productive with your time, you can be more engaged with your clients, that you just have a better experience.
What are some of the common things that you hear from these kinds of clients? What would you say is self-care? What are they doing to get that kind of deeper level for themselves?
I really like helping people come up with like morning routines that work for them, or maybe it's like a nighttime routine that works for them. Some people are more morning people and some people are more like night birds, and that's totally fine. But really, like we have this whole, usually when people work with me, there's like this whole structure that we start out with, that's this like self-care intensive, and it's this whole workbook that I have them go through. I do it also like as a workshop sometimes with like groups of people. I launched one like a couple months ago, and I'll be doing another round of them in a couple months in the future. But basically we like really dive deep into all of those inputs and outputs like I was talking about, and coming at it from both like a mind, body, and spirit level. So maybe in the mind level, it's like what are the books that you're reading, or the podcasts that you like listen to, or the people that you like having like intellectual conversations with, or just like what are things that really stimulate your brain and get those gears turning and that creative juices really going. Because as creatives, like creativity is actually something that like boosts our endorphins and our like self-care in ourselves. Like we have to be creative to feel like fulfilled.
Yeah.
From like a body perspective, then it's like, what are the foods that you're eating, or the ways that you're moving your body, or like the amount of sleep that you're getting, or kind of like looking at that like more physical level. And then we look at the spiritual level. So whether you're a religious person and, praying is part of your spirituality, or you prefer like more introspective areas of spirituality, whether it's like meditation or tarot cards or getting a little woo-woo, and really diving into that layer and kind of separating it by those 3 layers, and then getting super practical. And because I like getting big picture, like getting big picture is great and mindset is great, but we have to be practical and actually figure out like, what is this going to look like? So we always create a self-care strategy that's like a 90-day plan of like, this is what my self-care strategy is going to look like. And then I'm there to like help hold them accountable. When we do like our group workshops, we all create our own strategies, but then we do like monthly coaching sessions, like group coaching sessions together to help hold each other accountable and to give support where people are struggling and whatnot.
That's awesome. I love hearing that you give that plan, and not even just giving it, but working with them to figure that out for the individual, because that is so needed.
Yeah. And the thing that I've found that's super interesting is like when I've done these group sessions in the past, like people sometimes think like, oh, like whatever, I have a self-care strategy, like I meditate every morning, or I, like whatever they do, like I go work out once a day or something. But then going through like these worksheets and really like kind of diving in through these like guided meditations that I have people go through, they come up with these new ideas and like these new realizations that they did not realize was important for them as part of their self-care. Like for instance, I had a woman going through this, and she realized that the one thing that's actually most important for part of her self-care right now is to have a clean house. Like just something that you would never really consider as like self-care. But she realized that when her house is tidy, especially because she works from home, that she really needs to have this like clean, clear space to work, be a clear vessel for work. And also for when her husband gets home, it feels like there's a clear separation between work life and home life. And that one little thing for her is like nothing that we would ever think about as like cleaning our house as self-care. Like that doesn't sound fun at all.
Right.
But it really made a huge difference for her.
That's really cool. I feel like I'm the same way, and I have a messy tendency, but I've been trying to get really good at keeping things clean because I work, there's this little nook between, I live in a townhouse, so it's like kind of longer and skinny, and I have like the kitchen on one end, my living room in the other, and then there's this like nook in between the stairs, and that's where I work. So I like have everything in my life, like other than the bedroom, pretty much surrounding me at all times. So
Yeah.
I've been having to keep it clean because, and I've realized when it's not, I'm just like, I get more depressed and sad and just like, I don't want to work on things. So that,
Totally. I mean, like
yeah,
when my house is cluttered, my brain is cluttered. It's just the way it
right.
is.
My mom always said, if you work in a mess, you think in a mess. And I really hate that saying because she said it to me so much growing up. But
It's
it's
totally
like,
true.
right. So for our last question, I would love for you to share anything that you are loving right now that you kind of want to spread the word about. And that could be anything.
Okay, so something that I'm totally in love with and have been for a long time, this is by no means a new obsession, but it's Joshua Tree National Park in California. So for those of you that don't know, it's like 45 minutes away from Palm Springs. I'm sure you have a lot of people that listen that are familiar with like designer vacay, which I'm
Yes.
not as a designer, so I've never been there,
Well,
but
you totally should still come.
oh, that's actually not a bad idea. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
like
it's
any excuse to go to Palm Springs.
right. Yeah, I think listeners would definitely know because I was able to go this year. So it was something I was talking about a lot in November.
Yeah, so like I'm obsessed with that national park. Joshua trees themselves look like straight out of a Dr. Seuss book. Like it just seems like you're on a different planet when you're there. And for one reason or another, I feel like the most connected to universe and source and like whatever you want to call like God. I feel most connected to that when I'm out in that area. And this last winter, I was out there with my family and my mom, my sister, my husband, and I went to the Integratron, which is this crazy dome out in the middle of the desert, like a little bit away from Joshua Tree. And it was built by this man like 50, 60 years ago. And it was supposed to be like a Tesla coil. Like it's this whole crazy long story that you have to like research to find out the really interesting background about it. But
Uh-huh.
basically they realized after he died, they realized that it's this incredible sound chamber where sound resonates in this really amazing way. So one person can be standing on one edge, and then if someone stands directly across from you, like across the, directly across, you can
Yeah.
whisper and they can hear you. Like it's just this
What?
crazy thing, but like the person next to you can't hear you, but the person across from you can. And they do these sound baths where they have like, 20 or 30 people laying on like yoga mats with like, pillows and bolsters. And then they have all of these crystal Himalayan singing bowls, which for those of you that aren't familiar with them, you have to like look them up. They're the most amazing thing ever. And they do this singing bowl sound bath where they ring these bowls and it vibrates at these tones. They do it along the chakra system. So they start with the tones that follow the root chakra and then the sacral and then the solar plexus and then the heart and then the throat and then the third eye and the crown. And it takes about a half hour and it's just, you're immersed in sound.
Wow.
That's why they call it a sound bath. It's like the most amazing thing ever.
This is going on my bucket list of life for sure.
Yeah. It's really the most amazing thing. And when I was there, I had this like altered experience. Like I wasn't on drugs or anything, but I seriously had this altered experience. And I was like, I need to bring people here. Like I need to bring a group of women here. And then that has kind of like roller coastered into this great idea that I came up with where I'm planning a wellness retreat for like boss ladies this February in Joshua Tree. We're gonna like rent a big Airbnb. I'm gonna do group acupuncture on everyone. There's gonna be healing breath work, guided meditation sessions, morning yoga, like all the awesome things. But I'm also gonna bring like a couple like business and life coaches to do some awesome like boss workshops.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go to the Integratron and get a sound bath together.
That is awesome. I love that so much.
I'm like super excited because it was so amazing, and I can only imagine that it's going to be so amazing when I'm like surrounded by like a bunch of women that I love.
Yes. So how, like, if people want to stay up to date with what is going on with that, how can they find you and find that?
Yeah, so like I said, this is in the very beginning stages, so I don't even have a name for what this wellness retreat is going to look like, but I'm just starting to put some pieces together in the puzzle. But if you want to follow along, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Amy Kuretsky. You can also find me at amykuretsky.com. That's where I blog somewhat regularly. I podcast myself pretty regularly. I have a podcast called Health Fuels Hustle.
Awesome.
And you can sign up for my newsletter there to basically be in the know for all the things.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of that goodness. It was really incredible to have your expertise sharing around health and wellness and being a creative business owner.
Thank you so much for having me, and good luck with all of your, things you've got going on at the Cleveland Clinic. That is seriously the place. So like the fact that you live there and that you can go there, is so amazing, and you're going to have some amazing results because of that.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I feel really lucky. Like it was like meant to be that I'm here in so many ways. So yeah, well, thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you to our sponsor, Audible.com, for supporting the show. Please head to audibletrial.com/pinegateroad to get a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute and head to iTunes to rate and review the show. It makes a big difference in growing the show, and I'll be here giving you a virtual high five behind the scenes. You can follow along with the studio for branding tips, advice, and general inspiration on Instagram, username pinegateroad, or by heading to pinegateroad.com for everything else happening in the studio. Sending lots of love and wishing you an awesome week. You've got this.